Night had fallen over the small town, and the streets were quiet, only the soft rustle of leaves breaking the silence. Jacob walked home slowly, his mind tired from a long day at the lab. The air felt strange tonight, heavier somehow, as if the wind carried a warning. He paused near the forest edge, noticing a faint glow between the trees. Curiosity stirred, but a sense of caution held him back. Then a sudden sound, a sharp, cracking noise, made him freeze. From the darkness, a small figure stumbled into view, its tiny form trembling, its skin shimmering faintly. It was not human, that much was clear, but it looked scared, hurt, and alone. Jacob's heart raced, but he knew he could not just leave it there. He stepped closer slowly, speaking softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The figure flinched, but did not run, its glowing eyes meeting his. Something about the creature made him feel both fear and compassion. He realized it was a child, though not like any child he had seen before. Its limbs were thin, almost fragile, and a deep wound marked its side, bleeding faintly. Jacob knew he had to help, but a cold thought crossed his mind. What if it was dangerous? Still, he could not ignore the small life before him. He gently lifted the alien child, supporting it carefully, and began walking toward his house. Every step made a soft glow escape from the wound, painting the ground in eerie colors. Suddenly, the night erupted with a loud crash, as if the forest itself was alive. Jacob froze, listening to the sounds of movement around him. Figures emerged from the shadows, taller than humans, moving with precision. Their armor reflected the faint light, and their eyes glowed with an intensity that made his blood run cold. He instinctively tightened his hold on the child, who whimpered softly, sensing danger. The aliens were fast, moving closer with a silent but terrifying determination. Jacob had no weapon, no time to think, only the urge to protect. A sharp pain hit his side suddenly, and he stumbled. He turned to see a glowing blade slice through the air, narrowly missing him. Adrenaline surged as he realized the attackers were after the child, not him. He ran blindly through the trees, dodging strikes and branches. Each step was a fight for survival, each breath shallow and urgent. The child clung to him, trembling but somehow alive. Jacob could feel the weight of the responsibility crushing him. He had saved this one life, but at what cost? The aliens were relentless, and he knew he could not outrun them forever. Then, with a desperate strength he did not know he had, he turned to face them, a glowing branch in his hand. He swung wildly, buying a few seconds. He was stabbed, once, twice, again, 8 times in quick succession, pain exploding with every strike. The world blurred around him, the child still in his arms. His vision darkened, yet he held on, refusing to let go. As he fell to the ground, he whispered softly, "I will protect you, no matter what." The child's small hands glowed brightly, warmth spreading through his chest. Then everything went black for a moment, silence swallowing the forest. Jacob's mind drifted, unsure if he was dreaming or dying. A strange calmness settled over him, the pain dulling as if the world was holding its breath. He felt something stir within the child, a connection he could not understand. The glow pulsed once, then faded, leaving only darkness around them. Somewhere deep in his mind, a voice seemed to whisper, warning and promise both. And before he could take another breath, a thought struck him, clear and urgent. Before the story goes any further, you should gently subscribe to this channel for more adventures like this. The last thing Jacob saw was the child's face, small and luminous, staring at him with eyes that held secrets. Then the forest seemed to fold in on itself, and everything went still. The night waited quietly, as if it knew the storm had only just begun. Jacob's eyes fluttered open slowly, the world around him blurry and soft. He was lying on his living room floor, the smell of blood and faint ozone in the air. His body ached in every corner, the 8 stabs from the forest still burning in memory. But strangely, he was alive, and the alien child was nowhere to be seen. Panic rose in his chest as he struggled to sit up, his hands shaking. The room looked normal at first, but then he noticed the faint glow etched into the walls. Symbols he had never seen before shimmered faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He ran his fingers over one, and it felt warm, almost alive. A chill ran down his spine, and a strange whisper brushed past his mind, just at the edge of understanding. Jacob blinked, unsure if it was real or a hallucination from the pain. The wind outside carried an unnatural silence. No cars, no animals, nothing moving. He walked carefully to the front door, each step slow and cautious. When he looked outside, his heart froze. Standing there, under the dim streetlight, were elite alien soldiers, tall and armored, their eyes glowing in a color he could not describe. They moved with precision, silence surrounding them like a shield. Their presence was not threatening, at least not yet, but it made every nerve in his body scream. Jacob's mind raced, questions and fear battling inside him. Why were they here? Were they after him or the child? And where had the child gone? Before he could move, the doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. He froze, gripping the frame, listening to the soft hum that seemed to come from the soldiers outside. Then one of them spoke, not with words, but a voice inside his mind, clear and commanding. "You saved a life that belongs to our kind," the voice said, calm but powerful. "You have a choice, human, but time is short." Jacob's heart pounded, trying to process what was happening. He had always believed humans were the center of everything, yet here were beings from beyond the stars, speaking as if his actions mattered in a way he could not yet understand. He opened the door cautiously, trying to appear calm. The nearest soldier lowered a hand in a gesture that felt almost respectful. "You carried one of our young through danger," the voice continued in his mind. "You made a choice we rarely see in your kind." Jacob's mouth opened, but no words came out. He realized he had to speak carefully. These beings were not like him, not like humans, not predictable. One of them extended a small device, glowing softly, projecting a holographic image of the alien child, alive and unharmed. Jacob's chest tightened with relief, but questions still flooded him. Why did this child matter so much? What did the elite soldiers want from him? Then the calm atmosphere shattered, a sudden thrum in the air, warning him of unseen dangers. Jacob instinctively stepped back, realizing the alien soldiers could defend themselves in ways he could not imagine. One of them spoke again, still in his mind. "The one you saved is not just any child. It carries the future of our kind and of many worlds." Jacob's mind reeled, trying to process the weight of the words. He felt small, ordinary, and yet somehow crucial. Fear mixed with responsibility, creating a strange determination inside him. He realized he could not run. Not now. Not when the child's life, and possibly much more, depended on him. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet vibrated lightly, a sound only faintly audible, but deeply unnerving. Jacob's instinct screamed at him to hide, but his legs refused, holding him in place. The soldiers did not move, waiting, their glowing eyes calm and unyielding. Then a thought, almost a whisper, slipped into his mind, urging him to act carefully. He nodded slowly, the first decision he had made since the attack, and said, I will help." The voice in his mind responded with a pulse of warmth, almost like gratitude. "You will face dangers beyond your imagination, human, but you are not alone." Jacob swallowed hard, realizing the forest attack had been only the beginning. Something far larger, far more dangerous, was coming. Before he could ask more, a sudden flash of light illuminated the sky, visible even from his living room. Jacob's breath caught, staring at the glow that pulsed like a heartbeat across the horizon. The soldiers stepped back, giving him a clear path, their presence both protective and warning. Jacob felt the weight of every choice pressing down on him, and deep in his chest, he knew the next step would change not just his life, but the fate of worlds. For the first time, he understood that bravery was not about strength, but about choice. And he had chosen. A quiet, almost gentle voice whispered in his mind again. "Before we continue, if you enjoy witnessing stories where humans face the impossible, you might consider subscribing to this channel for the adventures ahead." Jacob closed the door slowly, his heart racing. Outside, the night waited, silent and patient. Inside, the alien child's image lingered in his mind, a reminder of what he had saved. And he knew, with a certainty he could not explain, that the real journey had only just begun. Jacob sat on the edge of his bed, still trembling. The alien child's glowing image burned into his mind. He tried to calm his racing thoughts, but each one pulled him deeper into confusion, fear, and curiosity. The sound of movement outside his window made him freeze, heart pounding. The elite soldiers had not left, though they waited quietly, almost respectfully. Then, one of them stepped forward, lowering its glowing helmet to reveal a faintly shimmering face, neither threatening nor human. The voice spoke again, not out loud, but inside his mind, clear and commanding. You saved one of our own, human, one who carries the future of our kind. Jacob swallowed hard, trying to process the weight of the words. Why me, he thought. Why would anyone expect a human to matter in your wars? The soldier's eyes glowed brighter, and the holographic image of the child appeared again, floating between them. You have shown courage, compassion, and a skill that is rare in your kind. The voice said, because of your choice, many lives may be saved or lost. Jacob's hand shook as he reached out, not touching the image, but feeling a strange warmth, a connection he could not explain. Lives, he whispered to himself. What could I possibly do? The soldier's gaze held him in place, patient but unwavering. You must help us prevent a war, one that could reach your world very soon. The voice continued. Jacob's mind spun, thoughts clashing. A war he could not understand, creatures from another world, a child he barely knew, and now a demand that could change everything. He tried to speak, but words failed him, his fear making his tongue heavy. The soldier seemed to sense his hesitation, the glow around its face dimming slightly, not in anger, but expectation. You do not have to understand everything, the voice said gently. But you must act, for the child, for yourself, and for countless others. Jacob's thoughts raced back to the forest, the 8 stabs, the way the child had trusted him despite everything. He realized he could not turn away. Not now, not after what he had done. The soldier extended a small device toward him, glowing softly. Jacob took it cautiously, feeling it pulse in his hands, a warmth spreading through him. Images flashed in his mind, visions of alien cities, battles, strange machines, and the child calling to him. You will be trained, the voice said. You will be equipped. You will face dangers unlike any your kind has ever seen. Jacob felt a wave of doubt, the weight of the demand pressing down on him. Why me? He whispered again, but this time, he felt the answer in his chest, a quiet courage stirring. You are not chosen because you are strong, the voice said. You are chosen because you are human, and your mind can do what others cannot. The words resonated, a spark of pride and fear mingling inside him. He knew he could fail, yet he also knew that failing meant the child, and perhaps the world, would suffer. A faint pulse of light from the child's image seemed to answer him, soft and encouraging. Jacob took a deep breath, nodding slowly. The first real decision he had made since the forest. I will do it, he said aloud, his voice shaking but firm. The soldiers stepped back, their forms glowing softly in acknowledgement. You will face enemies that think humans are weak, the voice warned. But your courage may surprise them. The device in his hand projected a map of stars and planets, each marked with symbols, glowing red or blue. Jacob studied it, feeling a strange pull toward one distant point, a place he had never imagined. This is where it begins, the voice said. But first, you must prepare. Jacob's mind filled with questions. How would he survive? Could he trust these aliens? What about his family? But another part of him, a deeper part, whispered a truth he could not ignore. He had already survived what should have killed him, and he had saved a life that mattered. A soft hum filled the room as the soldiers vanished into the night, leaving Jacob alone with the device and the weight of responsibility. He touched the glowing map, feeling the pulse like a heartbeat, a silent promise that he was not alone. Jacob looked out the window again, the night quiet but full of hidden dangers. Somewhere far away, the child waited, and he knew the next choice he made could save or destroy everything. And deep inside, he felt a new determination, a human courage growing stronger than fear. Before he could take another step, A faint whisper brushed his mind, gentle but urgent. And if you want to continue following Jacob's story, seeing humans face the impossible, you might consider subscribing to this channel now for more thrilling adventures. Jacob clenched his fists, feeling the weight of what was to come. The room was quiet, but the air around him hummed with tension. The real journey had begun, the stakes higher than he had ever imagined. And for the first time, he realized that one human could indeed change the fate of worlds. Jacob stood in the dimly lit training room aboard the alien transport, the device from the soldiers glowing softly in his hand. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, heavier than anything he had ever felt. The child's image appeared in his mind again, small and glowing, whispering a silent reminder of why he had survived. Around him, the elite soldiers prepared for departure, moving with fluid precision, each gesture calculated and purposeful. Jacob's hand shook slightly as he adjusted the alien harness around his chest, strange symbols pulsing with energy. He had no idea what the mission would demand, only that failure was not an option. A soft hum filled the room, and then a portal of light opened before him, swirling like liquid stars. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, the sensation of falling replaced by weightlessness as he entered the unknown. The portal deposited them on a planet that shimmered with colors Jacob had no names for. The air smelled faintly metallic, tinged with something alive and unfamiliar. Tall crystalline trees stretched toward a sky that was violet and green at once, casting shifting shadows. He felt exposed, human among beings who were stronger, faster, and more durable than him. But something inside him flared, a courage born from the memory of the forest, the 8 stabs, the child he had saved. The soldiers moved silently, and Jacob followed, learning quickly to mimic their steps, to breathe with the rhythm of the alien world. They approached a compound that seemed abandoned, towers rising like jagged teeth. The mission was simple in instruction but impossible in nature. Rescue captives held by an enemy faction before they could be harmed. Jacob crouched behind a crystalline wall, peering through the shifting light. He could see figures moving inside, tall and hostile, their armor jagged and dark, unlike the soldiers who guided him. Fear surged, but he pushed it down, remembering the device's pulse and the child's small glow in his mind. He had survived once. He could survive again. The first step was to disable the perimeter silently, using alien tools that hummed and pulsed at his hand. Jacob worked carefully, mimicking the soldiers' movements, and soon, a section of the barrier shimmered and disappeared. They slipped inside, shadows among shadows, silent and unseen. The enemy soldiers did not notice them at first, but the tension grew, the air thick with the sense of being hunted. Then, a figure turned sharply, sensing something unusual. Jacob's heart leapt, but he remembered a trick he had learned from the device. With a flick, a pulse of energy disoriented the enemy, buying them seconds. The human ingenuity, the ability to improvise, surprised even the alien soldiers. They advanced deeper into the compound, finding rows of prisoners, small creatures glowing faintly, some injured, some terrified. Jacob felt a pang in his chest, recognizing the same fear in their eyes he had once seen in the child. He whispered to himself, "We will get you out." The soldiers followed his lead silently, as if acknowledging that his courage mattered more than their strength. Suddenly, alarms blared, red lights flashing, a shrill sound that made Jacob's teeth ache. The enemy had discovered them, and the corridor filled with armed figures, moving fast and deadly. Jacob froze for a heartbeat, then remembered the forest, the stabs, the choice he had made. He lunged forward, using his human speed and unpredictable movements, weaving through the attackers in a way no alien could. A soldier followed, covering his back, but Jacob realized something crucial. His mind, his creativity, his courage were his weapons. They freed the prisoners one by one, guiding them through corridors that shifted like living structures. Jacob's heart raced, adrenaline and fear mixing into a strange clarity. The last prisoner was a small creature that glowed more brightly than the rest, possibly a sibling of the child he saved. As they exited the compound, Jacob noticed something terrifying. A fleet of enemy ships descending from the sky, scanning for life. The soldiers glanced at him, and Jacob understood. Without words, that they were counting on him again. He clenched his fists, remembering the forest, the stabs, the child, and his choice. The pulse of the device in his hand felt like a heartbeat, urging him forward. Jacob led a daring escape, using every instinct, every trick, every human advantage he had. The prisoners followed, lights flickering, shadows moving, the enemy closing in. And then, at the last moment, a shimmering portal opened, pulling them out just as the enemy breached the corridor. Jacob stumbled through, breathless, but alive, the prisoners safe behind him. The alien soldiers gave him a look of quiet respect, a recognition that human courage could shine in ways even they could not predict. Jacob's chest heaved as he collapsed, finally letting the adrenaline fade. He realized, with a quiet awe, that he had faced impossible odds, saved lives, and survived. But somewhere deep in his mind, a warning echoed. The danger was far from over. The child's small glow pulsed faintly in his memory, a reminder of the stakes ahead. Jacob looked at the alien soldiers, and without words, understood the truth. He had become more than human to them, a bridge between worlds, a hero forged in impossible trials. And the journey, the real story, had only just begun. A soft voice, gentle but urgent, brushed his mind again. And if you want to see what happens next, follow Jacob's journey and subscribe to this channel for more thrilling adventures. Jacob nodded, exhausted but resolute, knowing the next mission would be even harder. The stars above shimmered, the alien world alive with secrets. And deep in his chest, he felt the spark of human courage burning brighter than ever. Jacob returned to the alien base, his body sore, his mind racing. The mission had been a success, yet a strange unease settled over him, a whisper in the air he could not name. The prisoners were safe, the child's image pulsing in his memory like a heartbeat. But something felt wrong, a shadow beneath the calm of victory. The elite soldiers moved around him, quiet and precise as always, yet a subtle tension lingered in the air. Jacob's eyes scanned the room, noticing slight movements. The way one soldier lingered near the communications console longer than necessary. He felt a flicker of doubt, a whisper that maybe all was not as it seemed. Humans trusted faces, but Jacob had learned that courage sometimes came with danger. Suddenly, an alarm blared, red lights cutting through the soft glow of the base. Jacob froze, instinct screaming that something had gone terribly wrong. The soldiers moved quickly, but one of them hesitated, and that hesitation was enough. The communications console flickered, projecting a holographic message, distorted and urgent. Jacob's heart sank as he recognized the symbols. It was a warning, not from the elite soldiers, but from a faction he had not known existed. A betrayal was unfolding, invisible threads pulling at the base, threatening everything they had worked to protect. He realized, with a cold certainty, that someone had tipped off the enemy. The very lives he had saved, and perhaps Earth itself, were now in greater danger than ever. Jacob felt a sharp pang of fear, yet he could not show it. He had faced impossible odds before, and he knew that panic would only worsen things. He moved to the console, studying the incoming data, lines of alien code that blinked like fireflies. Then a shocking truth revealed itself. One of the elite soldiers, one he had trusted, was working with the enemy. A quiet betrayal, a hidden agenda, a mind aligned with forces that sought chaos. Jacob's chest tightened, a mix of anger and disbelief flooding him. He realized that the forest attack, the 8 stabs, the mission, perhaps it had all been orchestrated. The child he saved was not only a target, but a pawn in a game far larger than he had imagined. He took a deep breath, forcing calm, knowing he had to act quickly. The traitorous soldier approached him slowly, eyes calm, mask of respect intact. "You are brave, human," it said telepathically. "But some of us know the truth, and your kind cannot be allowed to interfere." Jacob stepped back, device in hand, glowing softly, pulsing with energy he barely understood. "You betrayed us," he said, voice steady. "After everything I did?" The soldier did not flinch, only smiled faintly, a cold, unreadable curve. "Bravery does not always protect the innocent," the voice said in Jacob's mind, chillingly calm. "You cannot see the whole picture, human. Some sacrifices are necessary." Jacob's fingers clenched around the device, the pulse from the alien child in his memory guiding him. He realized that despite being human, he had to make a choice that even the aliens hesitated to make. Suddenly, the base shook violently, alarms screaming louder. Enemy forces were arriving faster than anticipated, alerted by the betrayal. Jacob ducked instinctively as energy beams tore through the walls. The prisoners panicked, cries echoing, the elite soldiers moving to protect them. Jacob acted, using his human intuition to lead them to safety through hidden corridors. He realized the alien soldiers were powerful, but their instincts were predictable. His unpredictability, his ability to improvise, gave him an advantage they had not expected. He guided the prisoners to a hidden chamber, a place few knew existed. The traitorous soldier tried to block him, but Jacob had learned one thing in the forest. Fear could sharpen courage into action. He lunged, using the device to emit a pulse, disorienting the traitor just enough to escape. The chamber sealed behind them, energy barriers shimmering. Jacob's heart pounded as he watched the enemy search the base, unaware of their presence. He realized the betrayal was deeper than he had imagined, that not every ally was loyal. Yet he also understood something crucial: his humanity, his creativity, his courage. These were strengths even the most advanced aliens could not predict. The alien child's image appeared in his mind again, small, glowing, urgent. A message formed clearly. The war was closer than he thought, the stakes higher than he could imagine. And now, trust was a weapon, more fragile than any blade. Jacob sat against the wall, catching his breath, the pulse of the device steadying him. The betrayal stung, but it also ignited something inside him, a resolve sharper than fear. He knew the next move would define the survival of the child, the prisoners, and perhaps Earth itself. He would not falter, not now, not ever. Somewhere deep in his mind, a gentle whisper reminded him again. And if you want to continue seeing humans face impossible choices, showing courage beyond reason, you can subscribe to this channel now for the next thrilling part. Jacob clenched his fists, standing tall despite the exhaustion. Outside, the stars shone like silent witnesses to the unfolding battle. He knew the revelation of betrayal had changed everything, but it had also revealed the truth. Even in the face of lies, treachery, and overwhelming odds, a human could rise, fight, and survive. And Jacob was ready to prove it. Jacob sat alone in the hidden chamber, the glow of the device soft against his face. He traced the alien symbols etched into its surface, feeling the pulse of energy like a heartbeat. Outside, the alien soldiers moved silently, preparing weapons and technology far beyond his understanding. The betrayal from the previous mission still weighed heavily on his mind, but he had no time to dwell. The enemy forces were advancing closer to Earth, faster than anyone had anticipated, and Jacob realized the coming battle would decide more than the life of the child. It could determine the fate of multiple worlds. He stood, stretching stiff muscles, and looked at the small prisoners huddled in the chamber. Some glowed faintly, frightened, yet trusting him despite the chaos. Jacob's heart ached with responsibility, but he knew hesitation could mean death for them all. He turned his gaze to the holographic map projected from the device, planets and stars marking enemy positions. One planet in particular pulsed red, the heart of the enemy's fleet, heavily guarded and lethal. Jacob studied the route, memorizing paths through asteroid fields, energy storms, and enemy patrols. He realized that planning alone would not save them. He would need courage, ingenuity, and instinct. The elite alien soldiers approached him, their faces unreadable, but their intent clear. One stepped forward, extending a sleek, pulsating weapon, unlike anything Jacob had ever seen. "This will help you, human," it said telepathically. "But it is your mind and heart that will win this battle, not the weapon." Jacob took it carefully, feeling its energy flow into his hands. It hummed softly, almost alive, responding to his touch. He realized that while the aliens were powerful, he had something even they admired: unpredictability, courage, and humanity. The soldiers nodded, silently acknowledging that he had earned their respect. Jacob felt a strange pride, but also a deep fear. One mistake now could mean annihilation. Hours passed in tense preparation, as Jacob trained with the soldiers, learning to move with precision. His human reflexes and ingenuity allowed him to adapt quickly, surprising even the most experienced aliens. They ran simulations, practicing rescue operations, energy barriers, and evasive maneuvers. Jacob memorized every detail, every path, every weakness in the enemy's defenses. And yet, his mind never left the child, the small glowing life that had started this entire chain of events. He remembered the forest, the stabs, the fear, and the courage that had carried him through. Now, that same courage had to scale unimaginable heights, facing enemies beyond comprehension. As night fell on the alien world, Jacob felt a subtle hum in the chamber. The child's image flickered in his mind, sending a pulse of warmth and warning. "You are ready," the voice whispered, urgent and gentle. Jacob realized that the child's connection to him was more than emotional. It was strategic, almost symbiotic. Every decision he made, every move he would take, would be informed by this invisible bond. He tightened his fists, breathing slowly, centering himself. Fear still lingered, but it had transformed into a sharp focus, a readiness that could not be broken. The elite soldiers briefed him on the final strategy: holograms projecting enemy ships, troop formations, and energy fields. Jacob studied every detail, asking questions, testing possibilities, imagining every outcome. His mind worked like a machine, yet guided by instinct, creativity, and determination. He realized the enemy assumed humans were weak, predictable, disposable, and that assumption would be their greatest mistake. For Jacob had learned that human courage could bend rules, break patterns, and surprise even the most advanced minds. The base grew silent as the preparations ended, the air heavy with anticipation. Jacob walked through the corridors, checking on the prisoners, reassuring them, quietly teaching them to move safely. He felt a strange calm wash over him, the kind that comes only before a storm. Every detail, every plan, every heartbeat mattered now. Outside, the stars glimmered like distant witnesses, cold and indifferent. But inside, Jacob felt the fire of purpose, a human spark burning brighter than any alien technology. Suddenly, a sharp vibration ran through the chamber, and a holographic projection appeared. It was the enemy fleet, closer than expected, ready to strike at Earth. Jacob's breath caught, heart pounding, but he did not falter. He raised his hand, feeling the pulse of the device, feeling the connection with the child, with the soldiers, with the future. He whispered to himself, "This is it. Everything depends on what we do next." The alien soldiers fell silent, awaiting his lead, trusting the human they had chosen. And Jacob realized, with a mix of fear and exhilaration, that he had become the bridge between worlds, the key to survival, and the hope for victory. A soft voice brushed his mind once more, gentle but urgent. And if you want to witness the ultimate battle, where courage and humanity face the impossible, subscribe now to follow the thrilling conclusion. Jacob clenched his fists, standing tall, ready to face the enemy. The stars above shimmered, the alien world tense with anticipation. And deep inside, he felt the spark of human courage, unbroken and unstoppable. The final battle was about to begin, and there was no turning back. The alien sky was alive with movement, glowing ships streaking across the violet horizon. Jacob stood at the front of the chamber, device in hand, heart pounding, muscles tense. The prisoners huddled behind the elite soldiers, trembling but ready, their small glowing forms casting soft light. Jacob's eyes scanned the battlefield ahead, vast and chaotic, enemy ships descending like storm clouds. Every sense screamed danger, every instinct sharpened. He remembered the forest, the stabs, the missions, the betrayals, the courage that had carried him through. And he knew that now, nothing could falter, nothing could fail. The alien soldiers moved into position, their weapons humming with power. Jacob adjusted his stance, feeling the pulse of the device in his hand, alive with energy. The enemy fleet opened fire, beams slicing through the alien clouds, lighting the sky with deadly precision. Jacob ducked instinctively, guiding the prisoners into a hidden cover. Then he saw it, the small, glowing child, appearing in his mind, sending a pulse of urgency. The child was in danger, a beacon for the enemy, and Jacob realized that saving it was the key to winning this battle. He ran forward, human reflexes sharper than any alien anticipation. The soldiers followed, creating a moving shield, their bodies powerful but predictable. Jacob's unpredictability became their advantage, weaving through enemy fire, dodging energy blasts. He reached the point where the child's signal was strongest, a glowing core at the center of the enemy fleet. The alien soldiers moved to protect him, but Jacob knew this was his moment to act alone. He focused, channeling every memory, every lesson, every pulse of courage he had ever felt, and with a single, daring move, he sent the device's energy pulse directly at the core. It shattered the enemy formation, beams colliding, explosions rippling across the sky. The elite soldiers pushed forward, disabling the remaining enemy forces with precision. Jacob guided the prisoners, the child's pulse synchronizing with the device, amplifying its power. The enemy leader, a towering figure cloaked in dark energy, emerged furious. Jacob felt fear, but it was sharp and focused, a weapon in itself. He dodged the first strike, then another, his human ingenuity allowing moves that even the aliens had not predicted. The leader roared, energy surging, but Jacob remembered the forest, remembered the 8 stabs, remembered the choice he had made. He realized that courage, humanity, and determination could outmatch brute power. With a daring leap, Jacob used the device to amplify the child's pulse, striking the leader directly. The dark figure froze, then shattered, dissipating into sparks of light. The enemy fleet faltered, leaderless and confused, giving the soldiers a clear advantage. Jacob guided the prisoners to safety, every step careful but swift. Explosions shook the battlefield, but the elite soldiers held the line, their trust in him unwavering. The child's glow brightened, almost triumphant, as Jacob stood among the chaos. He realized that bravery was not about strength, but about choice, about acting when all seemed lost. And humanity, he understood, could shine brighter than any technology, stronger than any enemy. As the last enemy ships fell, silence settled over the alien world, broken only by soft hums of the device and the glowing survivors. Jacob breathed deeply, exhaustion mixing with relief. The prisoners were safe, the child unharmed, and the alien soldiers looked at him with respect deeper than words. He realized he had changed something fundamental, not just for himself, but for humans and aliens alike. The enemy had underestimated humans, and he had proven that courage and ingenuity could alter destiny. Jacob returned to the base, the child's image now calm and radiant in his mind. He walked among the elite soldiers, now allies and friends, feeling a connection that spanned worlds. The prisoners looked at him with gratitude, and Jacob felt a warmth he could not explain. He understood that the battles were over, at least for now, but the story of bravery, trust, and humanity would live on. Finally, Jacob stepped outside onto the alien world, gazing at the stars above. Somewhere far away, Earth waited, unaware of the human who had faced impossible odds and won. The child's pulse faded into a soft glow, a reminder of the future he had helped protect. Jacob realized that he had become more than human in their eyes, a symbol of hope, courage, and perseverance. He smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief washing over him. The night sky shimmered, the stars silent witnesses to the courage of a single human. And somewhere deep inside, he knew the journey had changed him forever. He had faced death, betrayal, impossible enemies, and had emerged victorious. The child safe, the prisoners freed, the aliens victorious, and humanity proven capable of greatness. A gentle whisper brushed his mind one last time, calm but urgent. And if you enjoyed this story of courage, bravery, and humanity facing the impossible, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more thrilling adventures. Jacob nodded quietly, looking out at the stars, feeling proud, exhausted, and ready for whatever came next. The adventure was over, the battle won, but the spark of human courage would never fade. He turned back toward the alien base, the soft glow of the device in his hand, and walked into a future full of hope, determination, and endless possibilities.